We will now begin the 23rd lecture of the Visualization Practice of Compassion and Bodhicitta series. Today's topic is, break away from the fate of endless reincarnations with the oral pith instructions of the Diamond Sutra. This is because we are caught by something like a net formed by our own karma, and the karma resulting from our interactions with all the sentient beings and the environments surrounding us. In fact, we are all trapped together in the net. Because of this, there is no way for you to escape. How can we actually use the oral pith instructions of the Diamond Sutra to get rid of these entanglements of the collective karma and environment on us so that we can escape here alone, become a Buddha, and then come back to save others? It would be much better compared to everyone being trapped together. This is the topic that will be taught today. We will continue to use a real case of the Lord Buddha Shakyamuni as an example to see how we can apply the practice methods and the oral pith instructions of the Diamond Sutra in daily life, and then work with the mind training procedure to achieve the goal of being liberated from samsara and even attaining Buddhahood. After the Lord Buddha attained Buddhahood, there were still 10 kinds of retribution. One of the cases, the Lord Buddha suffered from back pain, is recorded in the upper volume of the Great Chronicle of Buddhas, also known as Mahabuddhavamsa. This case is mentioned in the Sutra of the Causes and Conditions of Back Pain in Countless Past Lifetimes, Chapter 5. This time, I will use its original text in classical Chinese instead of translating it into the vernacular for you. I will explain it to you directly in the original text, hoping it will be clearer. Thus have I heard. That is, Venerable Ananda spoke from his memory of that day. Once, the Lord Buddha was at Anavatapta. At that time, the Lord Buddha was at Anavatapta, together with 500 great bhikshus. The 500 people in ancient times meant many people, more than 500 people. The term 500 is used here to refer to a number of hundreds, all of whom were arhats. All of them were accomplished arhats. It means that what Lord Buddha said that day was of major significance, to which only arhats were eligible to listen. Why? Because if Lord Buddha Shakyamuni talked about some cases way beyond the ability of an arhat, who could only see the experiences of 500 lifetimes, it would be even more difficult for ordinary sentient beings to comprehend. So, he only explained it to arhats especially. These arhats possessed all 6 transcendental powers. They had supernatural powers, so it was easier for them to understand the Lord Buddha Shakyamuni's teachings, as well as the causes and consequences. Therefore, only arhats were allowed to attend the meeting at that time. Except for one bhikshu, Ananda. Because Ananda had yet to attain arhathood at that time. All except him had already become arhats. It was a long time ago in Raja. Lord Buddha Shakyamuni spoke of an incident in the city of Raja a long time ago. There was a big festival, and everybody gathered together. At the time, there were these 2 wrestlers in the country. The wrestlers were like Japanese wrestlers who did sumo wrestling. One belonged to the Kshatriya class, or Varna. He belonged to this Varna because there was a caste system in India. The other wrestler was a Brahmin. The 2 of them would compete against each other in a contest similar to a sumo match. The Brahmin wrestler and the Kshatriya wrestler were involved. The Brahmin wrestler said to the Kshatriya wrestler, "When you and I are in the wrestling match later, remember that you don't want to win. Don't use all your strength to wrestle with me. I'll give you lots of money and treasure. I will reward you handsomely. I will pay you a large sum of money as a reward." His goal was to bribe him. Let's put on a show together to deceive all the people watching the ceremony and the game. Let's deceive the audience together. Don't try your best to fight with me. When I win, I will give you a large sum of money. In fact, both of them committed the crime of deceiving the public. This Kshatriya wrestler was very obedient and did not try his best. He pretended to lose the match and surrender to his opponent. So both of them put on a show together. What happened then? The Kshatriya wrestler pretended he was not strong enough compared to the Brahmin wrestler and lost the fight. So both were highly appraised for their performance. The fight was incredible. The match fixing was well performed. All the viewers appraised that the 2 wrestlers fought well. But the Brahmin wrestler won. Both were rewarded by the king. The king was also one of the spectators. As this was a big national festival, and the match was the highlight of the whole country every year, the king would also come to watch it. Everyone wanted to win this competition. But how could one win the competition? If you think your opponent is very powerful, and you think you will lose, what other way can you win? In addition to stepping up your practice to outperform him, the other way is to bribe. The Brahmin wrestler chose to bribe his opponent, and he did win. But after the victory, the Brahmin wrestler did not reward the Kshatriya wrestler as promised. He did not keep his promise to the Kshatriya wrestler. He did not give him a sum of money. He broke his promise and did not reward him. This major festival was to be held once a year, so it took place again the following year. So, everyone had to compete on the platform again. If you are not a top player, you cannot compete in such an important festival in front of the king. These two master players, the Brahmin and Kshatriya wrestlers, would compete against each other again. He made the same request to the Kshatriya wrestler again, with the same promise as before. This Brahmin wrestler, like what he did the first time, made the same promise again to the Kshatriya wrestler, "You shall lose to me again this time. Lose the match and make a good show. I'll definitely give you a lot of money this time." He attempted to bribe him again. This Kshatriya wrestler agreed once again. He did not try his best to fight him, so the Brahmin wrestler won again. Usually, when they gave out money awards, the winners would, of course, receive a much higher amount. The losers would still receive a consolation prize, but of a much lesser amount. They were both rewarded as before. Both of them had their own rewards. Again, the Brahmin wrestler did not reward the Kshatriya wrestler. This Brahmin wrestler was so bad and deceived the Kshatriya wrestler once again, by not giving him any money. In other words, he would not give him another sum as a bribe in secret. He did not give him the money. He did the same thing 3 times. He deceived him in the same way repeatedly 3 times. You see, this Brahmin wrestler was a man who despised promises, had greedy thoughts, and was stingy. After deceiving others and gaining benefits, he did not repay others. You can clearly see that he was attached to the notion of a self, being self-centered, only acting for the best of his own interest. He was attached to what our Buddhism, or Lord Buddha Shakyamuni called the notion of a self. Notion means forms, appearances, thoughts, or views. Some of your behavioral formulas and programming are also included. He was obsessed with his own behavioral formula and programming. That is, he would deceive others whenever he could. He was also attached to the notion of others. The notion of others is that you will become attached whenever you interact with other people. If so many people come to watch my game, I must win in front of everyone. I must not lose. Otherwise, I will be laughed at by everyone. He was very nervous about what others thought of him. In fact, we often lose on this. Even if you are not stingy, you are not greedy for money, and you can let go of everything. You feel like you have a good personality. Suppose you are such a person. Even if you are not attached to the notion of a self, you will definitely cling to the notion of others. As we often interact with people in such an environment, we are very nervous about what other people think of us when we interact with them. We end up being slaves to what others think of us. So, we will do according to whatever others think of us. Subsequently, we will do all we can to please others and gain their appreciation. In this way, you become someone else's slave. You are very happy to be praised by others, but you are upset whenever others criticize you. So, you become a slave, and this is called an attachment to the notion of others. The notion of sentient beings is even worse. When you interact with all sentient beings in the realms of animals, hungry ghosts, heavens, and hells, you will have the same attachment to them, very concerned about what they think of you, or wanting to gain benefits from them and deceive them, and so on. What is the notion of longevity? There was a king with authority, superior to everyone else. We call this the notion of longevity, meaning someone who is superior to you and others. You are very attached to what the king thinks of you. You have to win this game in front of the king. There are 4 things that cause us to reincarnate, 4 attachments, and he had them all. He did not have any heart of remorse. Why? Because these things kept repeating. The first time, he used the excuse of being ill and forgot to pay you the bribe. But he still did not pay him even when he saw him the second and the third time after the event finished. It proved that he could no longer deny it and say that he did not have time to give him money, or that he was ill and forgot to give him money again. He did not even feel remorseful. Neither did he apologize to him. Instead, he continued to use the same trick without any heart of shame. In fact, it is a good thing if we have a heart of shame. Do not think there is nothing good in feeling ashamed. A heart of shame represents a kind of intrinsic awareness. It is the precursor before the intrinsic awareness arises, which means that if you are ashamed, you will think, can I really do this? You will have an intrinsic awareness arising, and the intrinsic awareness will serve as a reminder to help you stop this kind of behavior. It is to prevent you from having miserable retributions in the future. Because whatever cause you plant will have its retribution. But he did not have any heart of shame. What does that mean? He had a solid attachment. It means that his attachment was very serious. What does this mean? He would be dragged by this kind of behavioral formula and programming an attachment life after life. There are 4 types of castes in India. We now explain why this kshatriya was deceived by others repeatedly, but still agreed to it. Is it because he was particularly stupid? No, it had to do with the caste system. In India, there is a caste system, which is its social system. It is divided into 4 categories. The first type is the Brahmins. The Brahmin caste represents priests and religious teachers. For example, a guru who taught others the Buddhist holy Dharma belongs to the Brahmin caste, which is the highest class. Imagine if your guru asks you to do things. For example, the Kshatriyas are soldiers or rulers, who are also high in the hierarchy, but still below the Brahmin class. You are in the inferior class, and someone from a rank higher than you tells you, I'll give you a sum of money. Let's do a match fixing. Would you listen to him? Do you obey him, because you are greedy for money, or because you are afraid of this Brahmin? For example, suppose he is your guru. If you disobey your guru, the consequences will be very serious. This is an example. Or, if he is a priest of another religion, being very superior, you will have serious consequences if you disobey him. You will be afraid, so you will give in to his authority, and you will agree to do match fixing with him. The third category is Vaishyas, who are ordinary laborers, merchants, farmers, and craftsmen. These are called the Vaishya caste and are the 3rd tier. The 4th level is Shudras, who are slaves. You may think slaves are miserable. There is another group which is much more miserable, who is not even eligible for the 4 castes. They are called the Dalits, or untouchables, the worst class outside these 4 castes. For generations, their children and grandchildren all have to do filthy work, such as disposing of dead bodies, collecting garbage, removing excrement, slaughtering animals, processing leather, and so on. They have to do the filthiest work. And they have to do it from generation to generation, and are not allowed to change. Their caste cannot be upgraded. If you are in this caste, it is impossible to change to another caste. Being a high-ranking priest, this Brahmin had some power, or maybe he had this power in terms of knowledge. What retribution would he get? Would he have fewer retributions because of his high rank? Of course not. It would be the same. Karma is equal. According to the Sutra of Virtuous and Evil Causes and Effects, you will be poor in this life if you were greedy and stingy in the previous life. You could be poor in the next life, or for many lives. If you are very greedy in this life, it is very possible that you were a dog in your previous life. If you are greedy, it is your character that you will never be satisfied. What you ask for will always turn out to be unsatisfactory. Because you are insatiably avaricious, you will always lack many things. You will have a lot of unpleasant things happening, and you will become very restless. If you are a frequent liar in this life, where will you fall when you die? A place called Iron Needle Hell, where you will be constantly stabbed by a needle in the mouth and experience excruciating pain. If you often tell lies and breach the lying precept, you will often be slandered and deceived by others. You will also become stupid and ignorant and cannot understand many things. You cannot understand the ins and outs of some truths. What will you become after you die? An elephant, pig, cattle, sheep, buffalo, lice, mosquito, or ant, according to this Buddhist sutra. If you are fortunate to have some virtuous karma and have planted some virtuous causes, then after you become a human being, you will still be deaf, blind, mute, physically incomplete, hunchback, and unable to receive the Buddhist holy Dharma. As soon as you hear the Buddhist holy Dharma, you will become impatient and do not want to listen further. Such a phenomenon will occur. Even if you are very wise and excellent in your studies, you will always fall into a situation where you do not accept the Buddhist holy Dharma, and it will be difficult for you to upgrade in the future. Because without the highest wisdom to guide you, you will not be able to arouse your intrinsic awareness. As a result, it is impossible for you to upgrade. That is, you are limited to a certain position. This will also happen if you were stingy in your previous life. What will also happen if you are a human? You will be arrogant and think you are excellent. You will be full of yourself and despise others. Even if you are intelligent, because of your virtuous karma, you will treat everyone with contempt due to your arrogance, feeling that everyone is stupid, inferior to you, and easy to deceive. You will have these phenomena. What will happen to you after you die? Whoever with this kind of character flaw, for example, you are full of yourself and arrogant in this life, feeling yourself better than anyone else, and you despise them all. The retribution after you die is to become a dung worm, a camel, a donkey, a dog, or a horse. If you are blessed to be reborn as a human being, you can only be someone else's slave or maidservant, or you will be poor and become a beggar, being despised by others. So, take note. Everyone is stupid. What should you do? You should think that everyone is equal. He just can't think of it for the time being. It'd be great if I could help him. If you use your own abilities to help others, your retribution will be good. Being arrogant and despising others in the past life, you will be born lowly in this life. If you are born lowly in this life, you should know what you have committed in your previous life. Some people do not believe in reincarnation. They think things just happen for some other reasons, so they do not believe in it. In fact, it is due to their limited ability, especially in terms of wisdom, that they cannot see and understand it. Some people have supernatural powers and cultivate well, or they are very wise and have read a lot of Buddhist sutras. After thinking about it and applying reasoning methods, they quickly understand these principles, and they will believe in causes and effects. But people who do not believe in causes and effects cannot see it, and have no supernatural powers. They do not have the ability to see the past and the future, they cannot communicate with the spiritual realm, and they do not know anything. So, they do not believe it and think there is no such thing. Because they cannot comprehend it. They do not know that they will have to continue reincarnation, as long as they cannot get rid of these limitations. Neither do they believe in cause and effect. In fact, it is easy to believe it. If you study diligently, others will say, since you study diligently, your retribution should be getting good grades, or being number one in the exam. But why did you fail instead? It is because of the limitations of many other causes and conditions that affect your results. For example, you become ill during the exam, you fall ill during the exam period, you forget the content after studying, or the exam venue is so confusing that you cannot stay focused. Or, you have food poisoning on the day of the exam, and so on. You will find that there are many factors that will affect you. Or the teacher, who usually goes to class to teach you, has been replaced by someone else, and the teaching is not good. If you are not satisfied with the teaching, you will get poor grades. It turns out that you do not necessarily get good grades if you work hard. You might argue, that means there are no causes and effects. No. Actually, this is exactly what causes and effects are. How so? Lord Buddha Shakyamuni said that the causes you planted in the past might not be retributed individually. For example, this cause is studying diligently, so your retribution is getting first in the exam, or good grades. That is not the case. Instead, you will have other causes being retributed at the same time, many of them overlapping with each other, including some evil causes, as well as some not too evil causes. That is why you might have food poisoning during the exam. Therefore, the real causes and effects have to meet two conditions. The first one is that many virtuous and evil causes will overlap to be retributed together. Secondly, when one of your causes is not strong enough, it will be interjected by other causes, and many other causes and conditions will occur together. You will also need other conditions to work together, such as the geographical environment, the environment in which you live at the time, and so on. So, all these will add up together to become your final score sheet. Therefore, causes and effects are not as simple as one-to-one, as you think. Many of them may overlap, and when other conditions are also met, only then is the effect produced, which is your final grades. This is called causes and effects. Therefore, if you want to learn and understand Buddhism and comprehend the Buddhist holy Dharma, you must be very wise, and you must be a very capable person. That is, you must have had lots of virtuous rewards in the past to become a very capable person to be able to hear, understand, and believe in the Buddhist holy Dharma. Most people neither understand nor believe it. Why? They do not have such virtuous rewards and capability. They even think that causes and effects are one-to-one, not knowing that they are indeed a combination of multiple causes plus multiple conditions, from which only then retribution arises. They do not understand it. I will explain further about it shortly, and you will find that causes and effects are actually something more profound. Let us take a look now. How will this case develop? The Brahmin wrestler would have his future retributions, but what about the Kshatriya wrestler? What did Kshatriya do to make him miserable in the future? It turned out that there was this gathering and match again the fourth time, and the Brahmin wrestler did the same trick again. He felt that he was from the upper caste, such as a priest, a guru, or the guru of everyone. I'm so superior. I'll tell you what. I'll really reward you. If you can listen to me like before and lose this game, I'll definitely reward you. I'll pay you all the rewards together. I'll pay you back all at the same time. Whatever I owed you the previous 3 times plus this time, will all be given to you at once. He deceived the Kshatriya wrestler like this. He thought that this Kshatriya was very greedy for money. Firstly, the Kshatriya wrestler would fear his caste and power. Secondly, he owed the Kshatriya money 3 times. He must have really wanted to get it back. If the Kshatriya had the guts to disobey him this time, then he would not even get back the money from the previous 3 times, plus this time. If you listen to me this time, you will get the money from this time plus the previous 3 times. What was this Brahmin playing at, actually? It was a kind of trick, a mind trick. He was thinking, I'll continue to avoid paying my debts. This competition will be held every year. There's no reason to lose to you in the 5th, 6th, 7th, or subsequent years. I can't only win for the first year, or the first 3 years. I must win until I retire and stop competing in the game. He thought that if he gave him the money, the Kshatriya would have more and more money. If this Kshatriya had so much money, he might not want to cooperate with him next time. As long as I do not pay him back and continue to deceive him, telling him that he'll be given back the money from this time and previous times, he'll have to listen to me in order to get all the money back. So, he never paid him back the money and kept deceiving him. But this Kshatriya was not stupid. He thought to himself, this man has lied to me several times. He'll never compensate for my losses. Now he wants to deceive me again. I'm stronger than him. I should have won. He is a priest. He hardly moves his body and does exercises. I'm a soldier and used to doing sports. I'll definitely beat him. There's one more thing. If I lose, it will affect the entire clan, the entire Kshatriya class. The whole Kshatriya caste will be despised by others, who might think that the high-ranked Brahmin caste can even outmatch people from other castes in wrestling sport, which depends on physical strength. So, all Kshatriyas will feel that their entire caste is humiliated. The Kshatriya wrestler felt that he was humiliated, oppressed, and deceived. He thought that this person was a pain in the neck. I shall make him disappear today. He said that he wanted this person to disappear today. He had given rise to a heart of murder. Make him disappear means that he had given rise to a heart of hatred. He was furious, and he hated this person's guts. He also had a murderous intent and wanted to kill him. He also had given rise to a heart of ignorance. Only a foolish person would do this. But he did it anyway. So, he ended up more miserably than the Brahmin wrestler. Heart of vengeance, he wanted revenge. He wanted to take revenge. What did he cling to? He clung to what the Diamond Sutra refers to as a self-image and a self-protective mentality. It is called the notion of a self. The notion of others, the mentality that I want to take revenge when interacting with others if they offend me. The notion of sentient beings means that he would have the same kind of mentality towards any class, because this was his behavioral formula and programming. Be it a god, ghost, hell, or animal, as long as he felt that this sentient being was deceiving him and humiliating him, he would retaliate. This would involve the notion of sentient beings. The notion of longevity means that even if this person was superior to him, for example, this Brahmin was from a caste higher than him, he would still take revenge. This means he was attached to what the Diamond Sutra describes, the 4 kinds of attachment that everyone is prone to commit, from which his actions would be drawn. What would he do? So, this Kshatriya sniggered a few times. Sniggering means that he said to the Brahmin in a very contemptuous manner, "You've already deceived me 3 times. You lied to me 3 times. Now I don't want your rewards anymore. I did not want your stuff. Do you think I really want your stuff? Do you think I really care if you give me back the money? You said you'd pay me back the money from the previous 3 games, and wanted to lie to me again this time. You said you'd give me the money from all 4 games. I don't care. I don't want your stuff." So, he grabbed the Brahmin's neck with his right hand and the Brahmin's waist with his left hand, and then twisted both his arms to bend the Brahmin's waist. In other words, he was trying to break his waist. The Kshatriya then broke the Brahmin's spine. He broke his entire spine. As if breaking a sugar cane. It was like breaking a sugar cane and snapping it off. Afterwards, he lifted him up and spun him 3 times. Then, he lifted this Brahmin up to the sky and rotated 3 times. He spun him 3 times. Why did he want to rotate 3 times? Because the arena they competed on had 4 sides, while the arena was right in the middle. He raised the Brahmin because he was afraid that people on the front, back, left, and right could not see it clearly. So, he turned him around 3 times. He lifted the Brahmin and turned him around 3 times. What was his purpose? He wanted to show off. He wanted to let the entire audience know and see clearly. Look at this man clearly. I've defeated him. Look how he died. He made it seen by everyone. He made all the people see it. Then he threw him off to the ground. He then threw this Brahmin to the ground. The Brahmin hit the ground and died on the spot. The Brahmin died as soon as he fell to the ground. In other words, this Kshatriya was cruel. His revenge was ruthless, which means he must have hated this person's guts. The fact that you hate this person very much does not mean that you will have a heart of cruelty to the extent that you want to make this person more miserable when you take revenge. That is not necessarily the case. Everyone can have a heart of vengeance, but they may just get angry for a while or play a trick on that person at most. But they may not necessarily have a heart of cruelty, so cruel that they want to kill that person and make them die painfully. But this man had. This Kshatriya had a heart of cruelty. In addition to the heart of vengeance, he also had a heart of cruelty. If someone else slaps you, you might just let it go after slapping them back. But he would go so far as to slash and even kill the person. You can see that this retribution is not on equal terms. If someone defrauds you of money, the most you can do is take revenge on the aspect of money. If others have humiliated you, you can take revenge for the humiliation, but you should not kill people. You should not kill people with the heart of cruelty. In fact, you can already see the inequality and unfairness here. This kind of revenge and cruelty is not on equal terms with the way other people treat you. So, you have to remember that it must be on equal terms. And he wanted to show off, swaggering before everyone. It means that his attachment was very strong and severe, and he also had a cunning heart. What is a cunning heart? He had many kinds of heart: the heart of hatred, hostility, murder, ignorance, vengeance, cruelty, and showing off. Additionally, he also had a heart of cunning. What is cunning? In fact, this person was very smart. If you kill someone in the game, you may not be sentenced to death, especially in ancient times, when they had to sign a waiver of liability agreement. Usually, in this kind of competition, in a situation where one or the opponent might die, what would they do in order to avoid being held liable by the other party's family and friends, or the legal prosecution? Both parties would sign a contract with each other, and this contract is called a waiver of liability agreement. The contract of life and death means that if I kill you accidentally, not intentionally, if it is an accident that I kill you, we will not hold each other accountable. I will also tell my family that they will not hold you accountable. If you go to court, the judge will see that you have signed a contract. It also depended on their laws at the time. If the king was also there watching and agreed with the contract, you would not be held liable back then. We can no longer do that nowadays. Even though everyone has signed a waiver of liability agreement, if you beat someone to death and are taken to court, the judge will still follow the law and convict you of murder. But at that time, why did he come up with a cunning heart? Because he did not need to bear any legal criminal responsibility, and he did not need to repay the other party with his life or go to jail. This is called cunning. If he wanted revenge, he had to do so at that moment. When I beat you to death in front of so many people, I don't need to hide. If I kill you secretly, I'd be guilty. I'd be wanted, or have to repay for your life. If I kill you now in a match, I don't need to go to jail. If I kill you now in public, I don't need to kill you in secret later. This is cunning. What was the result? The king and all the ministers. The king, his ministers, and all the audience were very happy. Everyone clapped and cheered, "Well done. Good kill." They even rewarded him with $100,000. The better you killed, the greater your reward. He was actually rewarded with $100,000. According to the Buddhist Sutra, Lord Buddha Shakyamuni did not say how much the reward was for winning the previous 3 games, but now it was stated here he received a reward of $100,000 for killing a person. The $100,000 is specifically stated here. It was different from the previous few times. It was a huge contrast in number. Let me tell you, this king, his ministers, and the audience clapped and praised others for such a cruel murder. Do you think they will receive their retributions? According to the Sutra of Karmic Retributions, they committed the same crime. They were also guilty of the same crime as the murderer. You cannot clap your hands when someone else commits killing. You cannot rejoice and praise them. Otherwise, you will be committing the same crime. You even reward them with money afterwards, which is not good. You will become even more sinful then, and the retribution you will suffer in the future is even worse than the murderer, because you are the rewarder. So, this is not good. Well, this Kshatriya wrestler did these things. What would his retributions be? According to the Sutra of Virtuous and Evil Causes and Effects, if you are savage, troubled, and hateful, and harm others with your heart being full of hatred, afflictions, and vengeance, all of which are called defilements, what will you become after you die? You will become an annoyed worm. Some sentient beings in this life, you will fall into the iron wheel hell after death. You will be run over by the iron wheel, resurrected after death, and be run over again. The reason why one can be resurrected so quickly in hell is because their physical body is very sparse. Only the spiritual body exists there. So they can quickly regain consciousness and continue to suffer. If someone has a vicious character in this life, they could be a snake or a scorpion in their previous life. You are reborn as a human due to your past virtuous merits, but you will be a vicious person. If you are cruel in this life, and do not like to admit your faults, you may have been a goat in your past life. Suppose you had a tendency to get angry easily, and you were vicious, cruel, and vengeful in your previous life. You will often be troubled, provoked, and hurt by other people in this life. Others will always hassle and trick you. This is because of what you did in your previous life. If you despised the Buddhist holy Dharma in your previous life, feeling that you did not need to take notice of it, and did whatever you liked, ignored causes and effects and harmed people everywhere, you will be short in stature in this life. At the same time, if you easily suffer from heart attacks, you may have killed or slashed the body of sentient beings in your previous life. If you are foolish and stubborn in this life, you may have been an animal in your previous life. This is because the behavioral formula and programming of your thinking ability were limited. All these are according to the Sutra of Virtuous and Evil Causes and Effects. But is it really that simple? Of course not, if you continue to see how it ended up. If there are indeed only these evil retributions, they are still not that serious. In fact, there will be serious consequences. You will know when you continue to see how this case evolved. When you brutally kill someone in public, you do not just kill them, but kill them in a brutal way. You break his spine, causing him to die in pain. When you lift and spin him, his body will move, and the joints in his spine will be constantly rubbed against each other, causing him pain all over the body. Because the spine is the support of the whole body, he will be in unbearable pain. This is exactly a brutal killing. You even spin him around 3 times in front of everyone, wanting everyone to see it. This is an extreme form of humiliation. Everyone sees him losing the game, and the bystanders all cheer, applaud, and even reward you for this. All these people who rejoice and praise your behavior will commit the same crime of murder, and all related sins, and receive the same retributions. Well, let us continue to see how this case would develop. Lord Buddha Shakyamuni then said to Sariputra, one of his 10 principal disciples, whose wisdom was second to none among the disciples, and to the hundreds of disciples who had become arhats at the time. Do you know who the Kshatriya wrestler was at that time? He killed the Brahmin wrestler. In fact, the Kshatriya wrestler was one of my previous lives. Lord Buddha Shakyamuni said, many lifetimes ago before I knew how to practice the holy Dharma and become a Buddha, I'd done such bad things. I was the Kshatriya wrestler. Who was the Brahmin wrestler? It was Devadatta. As said in the last lecture, Devadatta was Lord Buddha Shakyamuni's cousin. This Devadatta later figured out a way to curry favor with a prince, Ajatashatru, and then instigated him to kill his father and take his throne. When Ajatashatru gained power, Devadatta also possessed a lot of power, and often wanted to murder Lord Buddha Shakyamuni. He attempted to use an elephant to trample him to death. He also tried to roll a big rock down a hill to crush him to death. He also thought about poisoning him with poisonous claws. In short, he tried many different ways to hurt the Lord Buddha. And it did not stop there. He even created a schism within the Buddhist community, telling people not to believe in Lord Buddha Shakyamuni. He attacked Lord Buddha Shakyamuni for not being vegetarian and used this matter to speak ill of him. He called on everyone to form another sect of his own. So, he committed the sin of destroying the harmony of the Sangha. It used to be a harmonious group, but now there were many disputes among them. After Lord Buddha Shakyamuni entered Mahaparinirvana, Buddhism continued to split for many generations, all because of the seeds that Devadatta planted then. Why was Devadatta like this? It was because he was killed by the previous life of Lord Buddha Shakyamuni, so he was determined to take revenge. He had a heart of vengeance life after life. He would take revenge whenever he was able to. Devadatta once made a wish, you treated me so badly before. Whatever you do, I will destroy you life after life. I must take revenge and kill you. It is because he made this vow. Therefore, this Devadatta would be in this situation later, in the age of Lord Buddha Shakyamuni. In fact, Devadatta was originally a disciple of Lord Buddha Shakyamuni. In order to resolve this grievance, Lord Buddha Shakyamuni himself had given up revenge. You killed me, deceived me, harmed me, and so on. He had let go of all these. He no longer had an ego attachment. He had also repented. At the same time, he had been a ghost and an animal for thousands of lives. He had suffered in the realms of animals and hungry ghosts for thousands of years. The evil retribution he received at that time was not yet to the extent of falling into hell, so he suffered in these two lower realms for thousands of years. Later he became a Buddha, because he had planted some virtuous causes before. After becoming a Buddha, he still had some residual retributions, which had yet to be retributed. That is why he often suffered from joint pains. I also mentioned a case in the last lecture. The Lord Buddha used to be a great doctor in one of his previous lives, who had harmed an elder's son coming to see him. Because the elder's son deceived him several times without giving him any money, he did not prescribe the right medicine for the right disease, which caused the elder's son to die from the illness. This still counts as him causing the death of the elder's son. But it was not very vicious in that he did not poison him. So, his retribution back then was joint pain. This is because when the elder's son fell ill and died, he died of joint pains all over his body. Therefore, even after being an animal and a hungry ghost for thousands of years, and later becoming a Buddha, he still had to suffer from joint pains. But this time he was suffering from back pain, which had something with the spine. This is because, in one of his previous lifetime, he was the Kshatriya wrestler who broke Devadatta's spine. Devadatta was the Brahmin wrestler back then. The Kshatriya killed him by breaking his spine and throwing him to his death. He caused him to die in a considerable amount of pain. So, we need to look at what retributions the previous life of Lord Buddha Shakyamuni had then. This Devadatta wanted to take revenge for this reason. This was explained in the previous lecture, so I will not repeat it here. You can watch the last lecture yourself. The Lord Buddha said this to Sariputra and all his disciples, because I was greedy and hateful at that time. I was greedy, hateful, and resentful. So, I killed the Brahmin wrestler. Because of this reason, because I planted this cause, all other conditions were triggered. What were the conditions? The cause was already planted, as I said before. I broke your spine in this life. I humiliated you. I turned you around 3 times and threw you to the ground to your death. In the next life, you would break my spine and also turn me around 3 times and throw me to the ground to my death. This way, the one-to-one retribution should be over then. No, you are wrong. The cause and condition would evolve. What was the condition? The condition was that you made the audience applaud and reward you with money. They all felt that you fought well and killed brilliantly. You should perform once again next time. You caused the audience to develop a heart of hatred, and their viciousness of rejoicing at killing was strengthened. These are called conditions. This kind of killing in a match that could cunningly avoid retributions in the present time is also called a condition, an evil condition. What was the cause? The cause was that all sentient beings in the spiritual realm and other realms saw you kill and get praised. They would learn from you. Then you will also have a share of all their sins of killing. So, your retributions will be grim. So, Lord Buddha Shakyamuni explained that it was because of this cause and condition that he fell into hell. This time he had to go to hell. He did not have to in his previous life. But he went to hell in this life. He was burned, boiled, and was listed as the first target to be punished. For thousands of years. He had been suffering for thousands of years. I have now become the Abhisambuddha. What does it mean? It means to attain Samasambuddha. What is Samasambuddha? As I explained before, it means perfectly enlightened one in modern language. It is what we refer to as the perfect enlightenment. In other words, your intrinsic awareness is marvelous and very high as 100% without any deviations. This is the perfect enlightenment. As you see, I've already become a Buddha with intrinsic awareness reaching the 100% most correct without any deviations. All outflows are extinct. All my defilements are gone. Due to the residual conditions from that time. Because of the evil karmas I did back then, I was boiled in hell for thousands of years, which was excruciatingly painful. There were still residual causes and conditions that caused me to suffer from the problem of spinal disorders. It caused me to have back pain now. Then, the world-honored one. Then the world-honored one said to them. The Lord Buddha said to Sariputra and other disciples, look at the Tathagata. Look at me, the Buddha. All evils are eliminated. I have already had my retributions over for all my past evil deeds. All virtues are possessed. I have done all the virtuous deeds. In fact, I have had my retributions over through thousands of years. Why are there still residues? It is called the residual condition, not the residual cause. It is because you made everyone clap. You will have a share in all the evil causes planted by those people. These are called conditions. The cause is the cause of killing that you planted. He said he already had to suffer so badly from the back pain due to the residual condition itself. So, he said, all the heavenly beings, dragons, devas, kings, ministers and subjects. All heavenly people, dragons, and sentient beings from all realms, such as the realm of heavens and other realms, as well as the kings, ministers, and citizens in this realm, and sentient beings from every realm. I want them all saved. I try my best to save them, hoping that they can understand how this universe operates. I want to save them from this kind of pain, the pain of continuing reincarnation. This kind of virtuous cause I planted was huge. There is still no escape for me from the aftermath. But I still cannot escape from these residual karmic retributions. Let alone those who are foolish and have yet to attain enlightenment. Let alone you people who are ignorant, not knowing where you are wrong. You do not understand the Buddhist holy Dharma. You also refuse to understand it. Even if you want to understand the Buddhist holy Dharma, you cannot succeed in practicing it either. That is, those people who cannot understand and think it through. The Lord Buddha said to Sariputra, listen, all of you disciples, you must learn one thing to protect yourselves. How do you protect yourselves? Protect the body's threes, speech's fours, and mind's threes. You ought to protect the 3 things of your body, 4 things of your speech, and 3 things of your mind. After the Lord Buddha finished, Sariputra, 500 arhats, and the 8 races of ghosts and gods, accepted it rejoicefully. No one doubted after hearing it, and everyone accepted it with joy. What are the 3 things of the body, the 4 things of the speech, and the 3 things of the mind that you need to protect against? Body means your behavior. There are 3 things that you must not do: killing, stealing, and sexual misconduct, or wrongful sexual conduct. What is meant by a wrongful sexual conduct? Having sex with one's spouse is righteous sexual conduct. Wrongful sexual conduct refers to having sex with someone who is not married to you. Not committing sexual misconduct means one must not engage in these activities with people other than one's husband or wife. Speech refers to verbal outputs or languages. There are 4 things you cannot do. First, do not tell lies or use false speech. Second, refrain from talking frivolously and meaninglessly. It means not to say meaningless and erotic words. Third, do not use divisive speech, which means do not be double-tongued. Some people call it having a double tongue, but I will not call it this way. Lord Buddha Shakyamuni called it a divisive speech. What is a divisive speech? Having a double tongue is like this: one person said something, after listening to it, I repeat what he said. His tongue and mine together are called the double tongue. I cannot repeat the bad things about others. From using divisive speech. A divisive speech refers to something of a greater extent. What is it? For example, public or private posting on the internet, WhatsApp, etc. For instance, I heard someone say something about others' rights and wrongs. Before confirming whether it was right or wrong, I made it public on the internet or through WhatsApp, such as publishing in a chat group. This is already considered divisive speech, not just double tongue. So it continued to spread widely, from 1 to 10 people and then from 10 to hundreds of people, and it spread for a long time. Hence the name divisive speech. What retribution will you get if you commit it? It will be much heavier. If I only tell one person, and he tells another, it will only spread in a direct chain. The speed will be slower, and the amount of retribution you receive will be less. It could be that people will speak ills behind you for several hundred lifetimes. But if you use the internet, WhatsApp, or publicly disclose it, you will establish a much quicker and fully 360-degree connection. Then, people will speak ills behind your back for endless lifetimes in the future. Unless you become a Buddha, you will not be able to get rid of it. People will speak ills behind your back and slander you for endless lifetimes. Fourth, refrain from using harsh or abusive speech. Do not use malicious or foul language to scold others. Well, the mind. What must you not do in your mind? First, do not be greedy. Second, do not be hateful. It means do not get angry. Third, do not be ignorant. It means not to be too foolish. Is it possible to make oneself not too foolish? Yes, it is. In fact, you can make yourself not too stupid or foolish. Just study harder, listen to more holy Dharma teachings, and work hard on improving your wisdom. You should try your best to do these things. But if you fail to do them diligently, it will be considered a violation of the precepts. You must improve your wisdom through learning and practicing the holy Dharma. That is, you have to learn the mind training procedure. If you do not improve yourself, because of laziness and allow your ignorance to grow, it will become the fundamental factor for your own downfall into the 3 lower realms, hells, hungry ghosts, and animals. This fundamental factor is created by yourself. This is the method to save oneself. Do not be ignorant. Do not rely on Buddhas and Bodhisattvas to save you. Because when Buddhas and Bodhisattvas come to save you, I can tell you that even if they do come in response to your chanting of mantras or Buddha's holy names, which successfully makes contact with them at last, the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas still need to search for the presence of virtuous karma in your virtuous and evil karmic portfolio. They can only truly save you if there is enough virtuous karma in your karmic portfolio. They can only try to ease the situation at the time by mobilizing all your virtuous karma. It is just that the retribution will be delayed until later. It does not mean that you will not receive the retribution. You will receive it later. Your evil retribution may be even worse if all your virtuous karmas have been mobilized to ease the situation. That is, you cannot rely on Buddhas and Bodhisattvas to save you, because you will get back into your original state in no time, unless you plant a great deal of virtuous merits during the respite period to further augment your virtuous cause. As a Buddha or Bodhisattva cannot bestow virtuous retributions upon you, they can only draw out your own virtuous retributions to help you. They have no ability to give their virtuous retributions to you. This is exactly where the karmic force of causes and effects is inconceivable. You cannot even imagine how magical and complicated it is. The Buddhas and Bodhisattvas have already done their best. You ask for their help and they have come. They have also looked into your virtuous and evil karmic portfolio. They will have already used any possible means that they can use. But if there is no more means left that can be used, they still cannot contend with the karmic forces. This is the real operating principle and truth of the law of causes and effects. So, you must remember the word protect here. At the end of his preaching, Lord Buddha Shakyamuni earnestly advised, I was so miserable back then. Even when I become a Buddha now, I still suffer from back pain. So, you must remember to protect the 3 things of your body, the 4 things of your speech, and the 3 things of your mind. You mustn't commit any of these. Because I committed them back then, I ended up like this today. So, this is the most basic thing that Lord Buddha Shakyamuni thought any sentient being could understand. Let us see where the root cause is. I will teach you how to find the root. If you are not ignorant, you are not too stupid, your intrinsic awareness will be high. Will you get angry easily? If you excel in the mind training procedure and know how to train your mind, will you get angry easily? That is, if you are not ignorant, it will not make you hateful and angry. If you are not ignorant, you will develop your intrinsic awareness. Naturally, you will not be greedy. If you are not ignorant in your mind and you do not have hatred and greed, you will naturally not cause your speech to commit these 4 things, nor will your body commit these 3 things. Think about it. Where is the most fundamental and ultimate root? It is to be not ignorant. It turns out that it is vital for you to learn the Buddhist holy Dharma to improve yourself, as well as learn the mind training procedure to improve your own wisdom. Of course, it is important. In the future, if you can grasp it, being not ignorant but wise, you will suffer such a huge retribution then. So, this is the root. We must remember the mind training procedure. I have already taught you. No one has taught this before. I take it that you do not know how to improve your mind training, which is why you continue being ignorant and unable to understand the Buddhist holy Dharma and the stories in the Buddhist sutras. Now that it has been explained very thoroughly, you can no longer say that you do not understand it. Hence, you need to use the mind training procedure to heal your ignorance. When your ignorance disappears, your root will be healed, and everything else will also get better. That is, you will have developed your intrinsic awareness, and you will not do these things again. You have protected yourself against them. We have a name for it. It is called the 10 wholesome deeds. Let us look at the 10 wholesome deeds, which are very important. If you do not do these 10 wholesome deeds, you may commit the 10 evil deeds, then. What does it say in the Sutra on distinguishing virtuous and evil karmic retributions? In fact, if you plant the 10 wholesome deeds, you can obtain great wisdom. Having great wisdom and not being ignorant can heal that root of yours. So, the 10 wholesome deeds are our foundation. What are they about? What are the 10 virtuous causes? 1. Get close to the 3 jewels, seeking Dharma from the Buddha, Holy Dharma, and Sangha, and believing deeply in Buddhist holy Dharma and Dharma practice. 2. Believe in Brahmins, which refer to priests here, that is, Dharma propagators. In modern times, understand the genuine Buddhist holy Dharma, such as gurus and Dharma masters. 3. Get close to the teachers and elders, seeking to understand the meaning of deep truths. The teachers and elders have decades of extra life experiences, and have more wisdom to teach and guide you. They can make you understand some deep truths. 4. Respect the 3 jewels. Do not revile Buddhas. Not only do some disbelieve in the Buddha, but they even revile the Buddha. They do not believe in the existence of Buddhas. In the past, some people said that the Heart Sutra, the highest level of Buddhism, stated that there was nothing. But Buddha means intrinsic awareness. There has never been anyone without intrinsic awareness. Without intrinsic awareness, one is even worse than a piece of wood, which has no intrinsic awareness. So, we must remember to respect the 3 jewels, and we must not revile the Buddha. One will become very ignorant, and have no intrinsic awareness in the future, if he or she reviles a Buddha. You cannot revile Buddha, Holy Dharma, and Sangha. 5. Stay away from ignorant people. Ignorant people think. When you are blinded by hatred, you will think that their method is good, and you will follow suit. It will become your behavioral formula and programming in the future, and you will become ignorant. So, stay away from ignorant people. 6. Do not slander the Guru and the Buddhist holy Dharma. 7. Get close to people with deep wisdom. They are wiser in thinking and can explain everything more deeply and thoroughly. So, you need to get close to these people all the time. 8. Propagate the Buddhist holy Dharma to benefit sentient beings. Help spread the Buddhist holy Dharma to help sentient beings. Do not let the Buddhist holy Dharma end. 9. Stay away from non-Dharma. Stay away if it is not Buddhist holy Dharma. Do not confuse yourself with what they think is correct. 10. Praise and promote the right views. We must appreciate correct doctrines and views and stay away from all wrong views. What are the benefits of practicing the 10 wholesome deeds? You can be reborn in the heavens of the desire realm, that is, the low-level heavenly realms. If you cultivate the 10 meditative virtues, you can be reborn in the high-level heavenly realms. There is a difference. In addition to cultivating the 10 wholesome deeds, one must also add on meditational power. This is called the 10 meditative virtues. Doing good deeds without meditational power is called 10 wholesome deeds. Only with meditational power can one go to the high-level heavenly realms. If you practice the 4 formless concentrations, also known as the 4 void concentrations, you will be born in the heavens of the formless realm. There is no material structure here, only mental consciousness exists. But this mental consciousness is very broad. Even if you do not fly to outer space, you will automatically know what is going on there. It is like watching a screen, everything that is happening will be projected in your mind. These 4 formless concentrations were already taught before in the 20th lecture of the Visualization Practice of Compassion and Bodhisattva series. You can re-watch it. If you practice emptiness, neither existence nor voidness, such as what the Diamond Sutra and the Great Perfection teach you, you can enter the Dharma realm to attain Buddhahood. As you can see, there are 4 levels of Dharma practice, which can lead to 4 kinds of results. Only entering the Dharma realm, the state of oneness, to attain Buddhahood is the most thorough and ultimate. What is the least thorough? Heavenly realms, be they the high-level or low-level ones, or those of the formless realm, are the least thorough and not ultimate. You will always have to continue reincarnation in the future, and you will also have to suffer back the evil retributions that have yet to be retributed in your virtuous and evil karmic portfolio. The worst situation is that all virtuous retributions have been used up, and there are only evil retributions left. If there is a mix of virtuous and evil karma, you may not need to suffer so much. But now you have to suffer the retribution of the worst kind. Alright. What conditions of cause and effect are required to be reborn in the low-level heavenly realms, the heavens of the desire realm, by practicing the 10 wholesome deeds? You may say, I have very low requirements. I would be satisfied if I could go to the low-level heavenly realms, just by reciting Namo Buddha Amitabha, or doing some good deeds. Do not think it is that easy. There are conditions of cause and effect. Now I am going to explain what conditions of cause and effect are required when one does not practice the Holy Dharma. If you do not practice the Holy Dharma, you will have to follow the arrangement of your fate, such as doing badly in your studies and exams. You study hard, but you have a teacher who is terrible at teaching, so your grades are not good. If you do not practice the Holy Dharma, you can only go with the fate. Also, you can only follow the arrangement of your virtuous and evil karmic portfolio. How does this arrangement work? It is called the double rounds of causes and effects in the 3 times, what you have done in many previous lives ago, the things you are doing in the present life, and the retributions you have yet to receive in your future lives. The past life is the causal retributions you have accumulated over your past countless lives. The present life refers to those retributions you have received in this life owing to the causes you planted in the past life, but have yet to be retributed before. As for the causes you are planting now, there may be immediate retributions for part of them if there is a coincidence of the causes and conditions. What is done in this life can also be retributed in this life, which will be mixed with those from previous lives. The retribution may be partly received in this life or the future. As for the future lives, you may receive the retributions from what you did in the past as well as what you have done now that has yet to be retributed. Hence, you will find that there is a round of causes and effects between past lives and the present life, while there is another round of causes and effects between past lives, present life, and future lives. That is why it is called double rounds of causes and effects. This is an explanation given by people in ancient times when they explained the Buddhist Holy Dharma, but it has not yet been able to be truly apposite to the truth of how causes and effects operate. I would like to add that, in fact, the arrangement of causal retributions will change according to different causes and conditions that keep fluctuating from time to time, and they may be different this second and the next. Say you have a virtuous cause that appears right now. It is also considered a virtuous cause that you are happily seated here listening to the Dharma preaching. But there may be an evil cause appearing in the next moment, or in the next period of attribution of the evil cause, followed by an evil cause, and yet another evil cause. Generally, people who have not practiced the holy Dharma do not have the ability and related knowledge to mobilize the arrangement of the virtuous and evil karmic portfolio. You do not know how to practice the holy Dharma and do not have this knowledge. Even if you know how to practice the holy Dharma, you may not have this knowledge. Now I am going to teach you this knowledge. How can we rearrange it? You may not necessarily be able to rearrange it even if you have practiced the holy Dharma. Now let us have a look. Assume that our order. Can you see there are more evil causes than virtuous causes? Do you think it is more frequent that you have done good deeds, or accidentally stepped on ants? Sometimes you may have killed the ants by spraying them with insecticide, or wiping down the table. You will find that you have planted more evil causes than virtuous ones. This order is already very good, as there are two virtuous causes appearing. This is already considered virtuous retribution. Let us have a look again. What would be the situation for someone who practices the holy Dharma? The situation would be different. A Dharma practitioner will not be subject to the arrangement of fate. I will have the ability to make the one who teaches me transfer to another school. I can find a good teacher to teach me so that I can get karmic portfolio. That is the knowledge we need to have. The arrangement of virtuous and evil karmic portfolios will change according to different causes and conditions. This is one of the laws. Different causes and conditions will lead to different changes. Can we create causes and conditions? Yes, I am now teaching you how to create causes and conditions. We will do it until there are these kinds of causes and conditions. How do we create them? It concerns the level of your Dharma practice, and how much you have grasped the relevant knowledge. Let us see how to create causes and conditions. All abilities, as well as causes and conditions, need to have a foundation. Creating causes and conditions must have a foundation. This foundation is to cultivate the 10 wholesome deeds. As said by Lord Buddha Shakyamuni before, remember not to do what I did in my previous life. You must protect these 10 wholesome deeds. Because they are the foundation of all abilities, as well as causes and conditions. Is it guaranteed for one to get virtuous retributions immediately after death by cultivating the 10 wholesome deeds, so that the evil retributions will not appear first? This is not certain. Because it changes at any time. For example, suppose your combination is evil, evil, and evil cause, and all your evil causes appear before your virtuous causes do. Like Devadatta we talked about last time, who cultivated a lot of virtuous karma, but also committed a lot of evil karma. What was his result? His evil retributions came first, exactly the same as this arrangement. Why? Because Devadatta attempted to murder the Buddha at that time. He also destroyed the harmony among the Sangha, thus committing the 5 cardinal sins and falling into hell. It later caused a conflict between the monks of the Sakya clan and all other ordinary monks, which led to the differentiation and schism of Buddhism. According to the Ekatara Agama, volume 47, Devadatta fell into hell. The Buddha told Venerable Ananda, who was Devadatta's younger brother, Devadatta's whereabouts after death. The Lord Buddha said that Devadatta was burned by the earth's fire when he was about to die, so he felt remorse. It was not until he was burned that he realized he had done something wrong. He thought he was almighty by cultivating to have supernatural powers, and that he could avoid all this. But he could not. He had to fall into hell after death. So, he repented. Even so, he had to suffer a lot of grave pain before he could escape from hell. How grave is it? He will have to suffer for the entire Bhadrakalpa, auspicious eon. As I said before, it is now the era of the 4th Buddha during the Bhadrakalpa. There are still 996 Buddhas that have yet to come, and he will have to suffer during this period. He still needs to suffer for a very long time. It was too late to repent after he died. So, I often ask my own disciples to repent right away. Only then can he be reborn in the realm of heavens, followed by rebirths in the 33 heavens, Yamadeva, and Chusita, only reincarnating within the realm of heavens, being retributed for only the virtuous causes, but not the evil causes. He will never fall into the 3 lower realms in the following 60 kalpa, and only travel between the heaven and human realms. He will eventually be reborn in the human realm and be ordained as a monk, wearing the triple robe, Sanskrit, Trisavara, and practicing the holy Dharma. He will become a Pratyekabuddha in the end. I have said that Pratyeka means enlightening and awakening by oneself. That is, one who is very capable and resolves to attain enlightenment without requiring others to teach them. But because nobody teaches them, they cannot comprehend the state of oneness. So, they cannot enter the state of oneness to attain Buddhahood. He can only become a Pratyekabuddha, and his ability is about the same as that of an arhat. He can go to the highest 5 levels of the heavens of the form realm, without suffering in the cycle of karmic existence anymore. What will be his name? It is Namo. This is what Lord Buddha Shakyamuni predicted of him back then. Will Devadatta commit more evil karma during his time in hell and delay his receiving virtuous retributions? This is possible. Devadatta is still suffering in hell now, and he may suddenly arouse a heart of hatred. He could be thinking, how painful I am now. He may then suddenly come up with a lot of evil thoughts. He may want to grab someone next to him so that they can suffer in his place. He may want someone else to be boiled in an oil wok instead of him, so he himself will not need to be burned in the wok. He will thus plant more evil causes and prolong his time in hell. It means that changes will occur at any time, because everything is impermanent. So, the causal retributions will change according to the changes in causes and conditions. Since this is the case, we must rearrange them as soon as possible in this life. If you are lucky enough to sit here to listen to the Buddhist Holy Dharma, and you know that the causes and effects can be mobilized this way, you need to find a way to mobilize them. And you must act immediately. Do not wait any longer. Do not wait until you finish your studies and graduate, or wait until you finish work, or wait until you start a family, or wait until you have children and raise them up, or wait until you retire. You may not live so long, or you may be too ill to practice the holy Dharma then. You may have lost too much time and energy. You may have accumulated too many evil causes, and have not enough virtuous causes to offset them. So, you must remember that virtuous causes cannot offset evil causes, but they can buffer them. And you will lose even this buffering effect. So, we must do it right now in this life. But how? You must have the relevant knowledge. You must know such knowledge. Otherwise, you will be like this Devadatta, who has to suffer the retributions of all his evil causes before receiving the retributions of his virtuous causes. The first thing you need to know is a huge cause will lead to a quick fruit. What does it mean? The cause you plant must be huge enough for you to get a quick retribution. In other words, suppose you want to move the virtuous cause to the front. If you want to move the 2 virtuous causes that were originally queued in the last of the line to the front, you need to plant a huge cause to bring out the 2 big virtuous causes. If you want to plant evil causes faster, of course there is a way. You can plant some huge causes to trigger your evil karma, so that all your evil causes will be drawn to the front. These are things that we must not do. But I find that a lot of people are doing them now. Let us have a look now. Choose the most important virtuous causes among the 10 wholesome deeds and strengthen them. For example, 3 things of body should not be create virtuous causes within the cause of killing. What is it? Originally, it is already a virtuous karma if I refrain from killing. So, how do I create a virtuous cause? By life releasing. This way, you can increase your virtuous cause geometrically by adding life releasing to the virtuous cause you plant by refraining from killing, the heaviest precept. But you need to pay attention to ecological balance and environmental cooperation. Otherwise, it is a violation of the precept of killing. You can refer to the Life Releasing and the Causes and Effects published by the Dudjom Buddhist Association, International. This is in the format of an audio CD or a book. Secondly, the created virtuous cause must involve a large number of sentient beings at the same time. For example, a large number of animals are released within a short period of time. Thirdly, the virtuous cause you create must exert a kind of deep and broad influence upon the minds of sentient beings. In the meantime, it can even help them get rid of the animal body and get out of some predicaments. Deep means, for example, using the power of visualization and mantras to help sentient beings accept refuge and escape from the animal body. Only then is it deep enough. Broad means that when releasing animals, for example, we should use the visualization ability to invite all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas to come, and it has to be in the 360-degree direction, to help sentient beings get rid of the animal body. Only then is it broad enough. Only this is broad enough, and can be called a huge cause. You also need to add a prayer. Why do we need to add a prayer? Of course, we do. Because you have planted a huge cause. Like using a piggy bank, you are constantly putting the money of virtuous causes into it, storing it in the piggy bank. If you deposit it in the bank, you just lock it in the bank. But you need to take it out to use eventually. Why store so many virtuous causes if you are not going to use them? How are you going to use them? You need to add a prayer. To pray is to use it. How do you use it? What should you pray for? I pray that all the virtuous causes from my virtuous and evil karmic portfolio can be retributed first. I can make use of these virtuous causes to practice the holy Dharma after they appear to accumulate even greater virtuous causes. It can also help me eliminate evil causes. Only praying like this will it be effective. Therefore, a huge cause leading to a quick fruit is to accumulate virtuous karmas and store them in the bank. A prayer is for utilizing the virtuous karmas. Remember to withdraw and use them. You must know how to pray. Secondly, you must know how to reduce evil karma. You know how to plant a huge cause to get a quick fruit, but you must also reduce evil karma. Otherwise, how can you avoid evil causes when all your virtuous causes are used up in the future? If you cannot attain Buddhahood and you cannot avoid reincarnation, you will have to reduce the evil causes. How can you reduce them? First of all, prescribe the right medicine for the right disease. For example, suppose you are currently in the midst of evil retribution, and you are entangled in evil karma. Everything goes wrong for you. You should immediately seek the cause of the evil retribution you are receiving at the moment. You must find it. If you cannot find this route, and you do not use the mind training procedure I teach you to search for this route, your evil retribution will continue. It will continue if you do not prescribe the right medicine for the right disease. Secondly, launch the 5 steps of the mind training procedure: acceptance, questioning, analysis, root searching, and remedy. Thirdly, you should make the fastest and deepest repentance. You must activate the 4 types of powers. How do you activate them? Please refer to the 2 videos available on the YouTube channel of the Dudjom Buddhist Association, International: Repentance 1 and Repentance 2. Fourthly, you must accept heavy karma with light requital. Find out the wrong behavioral formula and programming that have been repeated and repeated. You have to use wisdom to enhance your intrinsic awareness to remedy and correct the wrong behavioral formula and programming. Fifthly, you must pray. The contents of your prayer are: first, you will first utilize the virtuous causes from your own virtuous and evil karmic portfolio. Second, you also make a vow that you will plant a huge virtuous cause. That is, you will have a huge cause leading to a quick fruit, so that you can mobilize it and draw it out. Third, you swear that you will never commit the same sinful karma again. That is, to reduce evil karma. Fourth, you will gain great wisdom. That is, you will know how to use the mind training procedure to deal with things which can reduce negative karma. Then you will find that, after the virtuous karmas have been retributed, the evil karmas in your virtuous and evil karmic portfolio largely reduce, or even disappear. This is to eliminate the evil karma that will be retributed the soonest, as the evil cause that will be retributed the soonest may make the rearrangement of the virtuous and evil karmic portfolio fail. For example, you want to mobilize the virtuous karma to the front, but the evil karma that will appear soon is blocking you, just like the evil causes in the first row, stopping you from mobilizing the virtuous causes. Even if a huge cause leading to a quick fruit can help you, and you know how to pray to leverage such a virtuous cause, but you do not know how to reduce the lethality of evil karma, it will still bar you from moving the virtuous karma to the front. So, you need to know it. And you must remember, this is a very, very important point, which some of my disciples still committed recently. You should avoid the mighty torrent of the collective karma. What is the collective karma? Collective karma is some evil karmas that are happening together now. It could also be some virtuous karmas, but it is relatively rare with a much smaller proportion, which is almost impossible to see even with a magnifying glass. But you can easily spot a lot of black collective karma, without a magnifying glass, evil karma on a large scale. If you just casually touch it with your finger, you will have a problem. If you look at it twice, you will also get into trouble. Have you listened to Everything Comes from the Mind of my teaching? A scientist has already explained that results will change simply by observing it. Your mind will also change, and so will theirs. Think about it. This Kshatriya wrestler wanted others to look at his victory more, so he killed the Brahmin wrestler even more brutally, because others were watching him. When you looked at him, he became even more aggressive, just because you looked at him. So, would you have a share in his evil karma? Of course, you would. So, you have to avoid evil karma. Do not even look at it. Do not watch TV. Do not look at your mobile phone. Do not browse the internet. Only concentrate on the Dharma practice towards the virtuous and positive direction. You will be fine if you follow what I am teaching you now. But my disciples do not listen to my teaching, and they will come in contact with these torrents of collective karma. The disciple who looked at it 2 more times said that he could not sleep, suffered from insomnia, was in a bad mood, and was depressed, because he looked at it a few times. I can tell you that karma is like this. If you look at it, you will get connected with it. Karma has at least 2 points. Your eyes are one, and the screen is another. When you look at it, there will be 2 points, which means that you have been connected with it, and there. So, do not even glance at it. It will be worse if you leave a comment, because you have already participated in it. You will get into much worse trouble if you interfere. So, you must remember that no matter how much huge virtuous karma you have planted, how many mantras you have recited, and how many visualizations and dharma methods you have practiced, you will not be able to mobilize your virtuous karma from your virtuous and evil karmic portfolio. It is because this mighty torrent of evil karma will drag you down. There is a lot of black karma in the mighty torrent. You will have a share of them when you just touch it with 1 point. You will then have a share of the black karma of the entire, mighty torrent of black karma. Can you withstand it? There are millions of black karmas here. If you mix it into your virtuous and evil karmic portfolio through 1 point, you will affect the virtuous karmas in your virtuous and evil karmic portfolio, which are supposed to come before the evil karmas, immediately resulting in a huge cause leading to a quick fruit. What is the huge cause leading to a quick fruit? Because you are connected to the black torrent of collective karma, the evil karma that originally queues at the back will be moved to the front, so you will be in serious trouble. But this disciple of mine was like this. He did not listen to me. I have said this in the past few lectures, asking him not to do it, but he ignored my advice. The result is that you will have the retributions of the evil karma from your virtuous and evil karmic portfolio first. Then you will get into trouble. The Guru has not reminded you that the mighty torrent of collective karma is to be avoided, not to be touched. You have to avoid it. Why are you so timid? You are not compassionate being a Dharma practitioner. If you want to be compassionate, please practice the holy Dharma well. Dedicate all the merits of daily mantra reciting and Dharma practice to them, hoping that their black karma will become less serious and change back to white karma, turning the black torrent into the white one. But it will require a lot of Dharma practice. So, You must avoid these mighty torrents of collective karma before you can be successful in your Dharma practice. Without meditational power. If you are unsuccessful, you will not be able to rearrange your virtuous and evil karmic portfolio. If you are still involved in it, you will not succeed in your Dharma practice. So, keep in mind that the mighty torrent of collective karma is to be avoided. If you want to be compassionate, you must practice the holy Dharma well and dedicate your merits to them in an indirect way. Do not get in contact with any of these. You can only help them indirectly, not directly. Why? Because you are not capable enough. You have yet to attain Buddhahood. If you have attained Buddhahood, even if you are in contact with the mighty torrent of collective karma, you can immediately enter the Dharma realm without hurting yourself. You can also come out at any time and have the ability to help them. You can then help them in a direct manner. Now please use an indirect method. You must remember this. Well, you also need to add a prayer. You need to know how to make use of virtuous karma. What should you pray for? Pray to reduce your evil causes, to move them to the back, and to bring the virtuous causes to the front. This is something you need to remember. Next, you must know the third one: practice a powerful Dharma method that prescribes the right medicine for the right disease. You must know that cultivating the 10 wholesome deeds is the foundation of all your Dharma practices. Do not tell me that you have been conferred a great empowerment, such as the Yamantaka, or the great Vajra empowerments. You think you are very powerful, and can suppress all the mighty torrents of evil karma. You think it is already enough to just do these without the need for the 10 wholesome deeds. I can tell you that if you do not have this foundation, it is useless for you to practice any method, because it is not prescribing the right medicine for the right disease. If you want to be reborn in the realm of heavens, you must consider the timing issue. If the evil karma comes first, even if you have planted a lot of virtuous causes, you still have to wait for many lifetimes before you can go to the realm of heavens. Take Devadatta's case, for example. That is, you must mobilize your virtuous causes, and the Dharma practice methods you choose have to be some quick and accurate methods. For example, it is right to choose the direct and core Dharma methods with powerful elements, such as mind training, visualization, and intrinsic awareness. If you want to be reborn in the heavens of the form realm, you must add the practice of meditational power. You must sit for meditation. Fourthly, if you want to be liberated from samsara, or attain Buddhahood, you must practice emptiness, neither existence nor voidness. Let us take a look. If you commit the 10 evil deeds, there will be 10 kinds of evil retributions, the first one being the retributions of killing. The first is that you will have lots of karmic creditors. Second, anyone who sees you will dislike you. No one will be pleased to see you killing. Third, sentient beings will be afraid of you. Fourth, you will be plagued by worries at all times. You will be afraid of being caught. Fifth, you will often want to kill, as you are addicted to killing. Sixth, you will be dreaming of sorrow and pain, being chased by ghosts who want revenge in the dream. Seventh, you will have a short life. Ninth, you will become ignorant and stupid. How will you kill someone if you are not stupid? It must be because you are ignorant and stupid. 10th, you will fall into hell when you die. After you die, you will definitely fall into hell. This is stated in the Sutra of Distinguishing Virtuous and Evil Karmic Retributions. What are the retributions for stealing? First, you will end up with long-standing grievances or enmity. Second, you will become a very suspicious person. You will be afraid of many things. Third, you will always be accompanied by evil friends, making bad friends. Fourth, virtuous friends will stay away from you. You will not approach a good friend, because they will not appreciate the bad things you do. Only bad friends will praise you, so you will always be with them and stay away from good friends. Fifth, you will violate the Buddhist pure precepts. You have already violated the precepts. Sixth, you will be put into prison. Seventh, you will be obsessed with pleasure and spending money. Eighth, you will always be worried and afraid of being caught. Ninth, you will feel uncomfortable and hide everywhere. 10th, you will fall into hell when you die. If you commit sexual misconduct, the retributions are, first, you will always be lustful. Second, your spouse will not be faithful. If you commit adultery, so will she. Third, your evil deeds will increase, and you will become worse and worse. Fourth, your good deeds will diminish or disappear. You will stop conducting good deeds. Fifth, you will be obsessed with lust. Sixth, you will lose property and belongings. Seventh, you will always be suspicious. Eighth, you will stay away from virtuous friends. Ninth, your relatives will not believe you. No one will believe you. 10th, you will fall into the 3 lower realms after death. This one is less serious. It is not falling into hell after death. There is a chance to fall into hell, or become a hungry ghost or animal. But you will fall straight into hell in case you commit precepts of killing and stealing. The retributions for lying are, first, you will often have bad breath. Second, you will stay away from the truth. You will no longer have the right and actual truth, because you like to lie and are reluctant to tell the truth. So, there is no truth in your heart. Third, you enjoy flattering those you consider powerful and rich or your guru. And your flattery increases day by day. Fourth, talebearers will get close to you. Fifth, you will not believe in true pieces of advice. Sixth, you will have little wisdom. Seventh, you will praise lies. You will praise others as well as yourself for being good at telling lies. Eighth, you will not tell the truth. Ninth, you love to gossip about rights and wrongs. Those who like to tell lies will also like to gossip about others' rights and wrongs. 10th, you will fall into the evil realms, that is, the 3 lower realms. There are 5 things in the 10 wholesome deeds, which we call the 5 precepts. The 5 precepts must be passed on when conferring refuge. Among them, the 4 precepts are these 4. Well, you must pay attention to these 2 precepts, which are particularly important. They will result in falling into hell after death. What is the most frequently committed and most entangling precept of killing? It is abortion. It is not that you ate a lot of fish, or went to a restaurant and picked a fish, or many fish to be killed. Why is it not these? Because your intention to kill these fish is not so ruthless. The most ruthless killing karma is killing those closest to you, such as killing your own baby. Abortion is the most ruthless killing. Because the baby is in your own belly. You do not even care about your own health. You do not even want your own baby. These are called cruelty. You have to be cruel to get an abortion. This killing karma is very serious. What will happen? You will fall into hell after death, and it will be the deepest hell. Other killings are not as serious as abortion. This kind of cruelty is grave. Why is it so serious? One of my disciples committed such a precept. She never told her guru, nor did she repent to her guru. Her guru did not know about it. When the guru knew something happened to her, the guru asked her whether she had ever had an abortion or miscarriage. A miscarriage is not that sinful. A miscarriage is considered a natural abortion. It is not that you kill the baby ruthlessly. But that is the case for an abortion. She kept making ambiguous statements before answering my question. She passed the buck to others, saying that others taught her and misled her to do so. It turned out that she got an abortion. First of all, do not beat about the bush by giving ambiguous answers to your guru's questions. Answer directly when your guru asks. If your guru asks if you have had an abortion or a miscarriage, directly if it is an abortion. The guru will then teach you how to rectify it. The guru will teach you. But she kept beating about the bush, making the guru impatient, because the guru was very busy. But in order to save her, I already patiently listened to her. But she kept telling me that so-and-so made her do it. Even after the guru admonished her, she did not repent. She still has not repented until now, not even writing a repentance email. Nor did she repent on the spot. I have taught you before, and the teaching has already been uploaded to YouTube. Repenting in front of the guru is much more powerful, because the Guru has connected with all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas from the 10 directions and of the 3 times. Your repenting to the Guru is the same as repenting to the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas 10 directions and 360 degrees. When the Guru becomes your witness, the strength of your being able to break away from karma is much stronger. But she does not have the intrinsic awareness. Not having intrinsic awareness means the Guru has told you all the things that have happened to you are related to these things, and so you should have quickly done something to rectify it. Because something happened in her family, I did not wish to put too much pressure on her. I did not scold her or blame her. I only tried to advise her. Challenging. So, you must keep this in mind. I feel that I must educate you on this. What is another thing that I would like to teach you? Since you refuse to repent, I can only impart the verses of repentance on abortion to you, hoping that it can save you. I am going to read it out in the form of oral transmission. For all the disciples or Dharma believers who see this video through live broadcasting or on YouTube in the future, and all the disciples present here, you may recite it in your hearts. I will take it that I have you, and you can practice it more diligently in the future. But you may say that you have not done this. But you do not know if you have done it in your past lives. So, you can do the repentance by assuming that you have done it in your past lives. I will read it out once now. I repent of my greed, hatred, and ignorance of the countless past eons since time immemorial. For being unaware that abortion violates the sinful karma of killing. I now understand and know that the Buddha once revealed. Abortion is the karma of killing and will bring about numerous evil retributions. Among all sins and evils, the sin of killing is the gravest. Among all merits and virtues, refrain from killing ranks first. The human body is rare and hard to come by in billions of years. Abortion deprives others of the opportunity to regain a human body. Without repenting, I myself will suffer retributions. It will be perpetually challenging for me to be reborn in the human realm after death. When a fetus is killed, it feels like being stabbed by 1,000 knives. Since the pain is unbearable, deep hatred and grievances are buried in its heart. Without repenting to resolve the hatred of the cruel killing, it will be difficult for me to avoid my karmic creditors when I die in the future. I will definitely be killed in revenge and suffer the same pain. While the cycle of suffering will never end. I now sincerely confess and repent of my karma of abortion. Beseeching the fetus to forgive me and let go of the resentment. I now give my child a name for it to gain belongingness. I will plant merits extensively and dedicate them to the name of my beloved child. I will release a large quantity of animals to atone for the sin of killing karma. I will make smoke offerings to accumulate profound merits for my child. I will chant mantras to help my beloved child remove various obstacles. I will offer lamps to increase my child's wisdom with the light. I will recite and copy the Buddhist sutras to make my child understand the real truth. I now make a vow to plant merits for my child. Relentlessly letting my child gain peace and happiness. I pray that my child will be connected to a condition for rebirth. Blessed and protected by all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. Reborn in the pure land of ultimate bliss and all Buddha's pure lands. And liberated from all sorrows and sufferings of samsara from now on. With merits and affinities, we shall gather together in the Buddha's pure lands. May all sinful karma be relinquished. And there be no suffering and worries but peace and happiness. I will never commit evil karma again in this life. And I pray for the constant blessings of all Buddhas. May virtues and verses of repentance later, he will impart the mantra of Bodhisattva Avalokiteshvara to you as well, which you should recite 100 times. If you say you have never committed this evil karma of abortion, then you can name it as all sentient beings that you have eaten and killed for the part of naming your child. This way, it will include this kind of evil karma you committed in your past lives, and you can plant merits and dedicate to them. If it is a miscarriage and not you killing them, you can recite the following. My child was miscarried because of various obstacles, and thus unable to enjoy being with us as a family in the human world. The Buddha said this was owing to insufficient merits. In addition to the evil karmas in the past. If one can plant merits extensively to accumulate blessings and virtuous conditions, as well as confess and repent diligently to eliminate all old evil karmas, one can move and inspire all Buddhas and Bodhisattvas to receive their blessings. In order to protect my beloved child from suffering the pain of wandering, I now give my child a name for it to gain belongingness. I will plant merits extensively and dedicate them to the name of my beloved child. Don't say you are lonely, and please remember the love of your next of kin. For I have never abandoned nor stopped missing my suffering child. In order to help my beloved child be liberated from the suffering of samsara early, and be reborn in the pure land of ultimate bliss and all Buddha's pure lands, I would like to take a deep vow to plant extensive and grand merits. Among all merits and virtues, refrain from killing ranks first. I will release a large quantity of animals to accumulate a great deal of virtuous karma, which can help my beloved child gain virtuous merits quickly. Among offerings to the spiritual realm, smoke offerings rank first. I will make upper offerings and lower givings with incense to gather virtuous conditions, which can help my beloved child connect with the auxiliary forces and ancillary conditions swiftly. To remove darkness and increase wisdom, lamp offerings rank first. I will offer light widely to all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, which can help my beloved child develop wisdom and find a bright path. To remove obstacles and gain protection, mantra chanting ranks first. I will recite various Buddha's mantras diligently and make invocations frequently, which can help my beloved child obtain the Buddha's protection rapidly. Reciting sutras, copying scriptures, and propagating holy dharma are all virtuous merits, which I will cultivate one by one for the sake of my beloved child. I pray that my beloved child will be reborn in the Buddha's pure lands soon, be liberated from the suffering of samsara, and be peaceful and blissful forever. With merits and affinities, we shall gather together in the Buddha's pure lands. May all sinful karma be relinquished, and there be no suffering and worries but peace and happiness. I will never commit evil karma again in this life. And I pray for the constant blessings of all Buddhas. May virtues and auspiciousness be ever increasing. You also have to recite the Avalokitesvara's mantra 100 times. I will put this on YouTube in the future. I have been very busy lately, though. You may have to wait for a while. After I upload it on YouTube, you can clip this video, record it, and use it to lead yourself to recite along. This way, your merits will be even greater. We still have one more precept that has yet to be explained for the 5 precepts. It turns out that drinking alcohol has 36 faults. According to the Sutra of Distinguishing Virtuous and Evil Karmic Retributions, they are loss of wealth, frequent illnesses, constant fights and disputes, increased killing, increased anger, frequent dissatisfactions, gradual decline in wisdom, no increase in virtuous merits, gradual decrease in virtuous merits, secrets being revealed, career failures, increased worries and sorrows, 6 roots not functioning well, insulting parents, disrespecting the 3 jewels, disbelieving in Brahmins, disrespecting the Buddha, disrespecting friends, abandoning and leaving virtuous friends, giving up food and drink, being disheveled, strong lust, being disliked by everyone, becoming a joke to others, upholding non-dharmas, staying away from correct dharma, disrespecting the virtuous and the good, often making mistakes, being far from parinirvana, increasing madness, distractions in body and mind, doing evil and being greedy for pleasure, falling into the great hell after death to suffer endlessly. Pay attention to the 36th. If you drink alcohol, you will fall into hell and suffer endlessly. It is not said by me but Lord Buddha Shakyamuni in this sutra. Didn't you say drinking alcohol is prajnaptila? What is prajnaptila? It is a precept established by the Lord Buddha according to circumstances and places, which is usually lighter than praktila. That is, they are not considered sins by the general society. You will not be imprisoned for drinking unless you hit someone while drunk driving. What is praktila? It is an inherently sinful act. You will see that the 4 precepts I said previously belong to Praktila. Essentially, it is a violation of precept once you commit it. It does not exist just because of the regulations of Lord Buddha Shakyamuni. For example, killing, stealing, sexual misconduct, and lying. Why will one fall into hell because of drinking? You must see clearly what is implicated in these 36 items. The other precepts only have 10, 11, or 12 retributions. Why does it have 36? You will know how extensive its implications are. Because of its extensive implications, you will fall into hell. So, you must be extra careful. Alright. How do we train our minds to be consistent with the teachings of the Diamond Sutra? This is the focus of this class. As you see, the Kshatriya wrestler was one of Lord Buddha Shakyamuni's previous lives. His character was that he did not like to be deceived or oppressed by others. He liked to use his ability to take revenge, and he liked to condone his behaviors and thoughts for various reasons. He did not like to look for his own faults. So, he did not have that intrinsic awareness. Because he did not have that intrinsic awareness, it became a brutal killing. If he had intrinsic awareness, he might just commit killing instead of brutal killing, and he would not kill his opponent by breaking his spine. The character is the same as the great doctor from countless lifetimes before. The story of the great doctor was already told in the previous session. The Lord Buddha often suffered from joint pain, because he was a great doctor in one of his previous lives who intentionally caused death during treatment. Let us have a look now. Because his previous life did not face up to his own mistakes and did not change, so he continued the same character to the next life, in which he became even worse. So, it became a brutal killing. I mentioned before there were many different kinds of hearts that he had. In fact, his thought at that time was like this: he thought that deception was a sin. I've forgiven him many times and continued to accept his requests. He even wants me to deceive others, and he is trying to deceive me again. He's making me deceive others, and this crime of deception has become more serious. In the previous life, the elder son deceived the great doctor to treat him without paying him. He only deceived the great doctor. But in this life, you will find that his character became worse. That is, he did not deceive the Kshatriya wrestler only, but also asked the Kshatriya to deceive the entire audience. In other words, his crime of deception became worse. Well, he felt that it was wrong for this person to repeat the offense. He considered the person who repeatedly deceived and humiliated him to be unforgivable. Why would he be humiliated? Think clearly. He belonged to the Kshatriya caste, which was already one level lower than the Brahmin caste. He had to demonstrate in public and tell the world and the whole country that the Kshatriya were unable to fight against the Brahmins. Would you not say it is a great humiliation? When it extended to one's caste, this kind of humiliation was severe. Those who commit the crime of deception are punishable as a matter of course. I'd like to make a clean break so this person can't deceive me again and again. As for this method of making a clean break, he believed that it could be done as long as the following conditions were met. You need to pay attention to making a clean break. Why did he want to make a clean break? He was afraid of something, so he wanted to end it. He wanted to kill him and make him disappear from the world. Why did he want to end it this way, instead of retaliating with humiliation or money? It is because he was afraid that the other party would take revenge. The other party was a Brahmin caste and had higher power than him. He was afraid that the other party would harm him. Because of such fear, he wanted him to disappear from the world. First, he felt that it was okay as long as he was capable of doing so. Second, he felt that his actions would not be punished by law. Third, he believed that many people would support him. This is abiding in notions. He felt that the audience and all the people in the whole country supported him. The result was everyone clapped their hands. But he abided in the notion of hand clapping. If he did not change, it would become more serious in his next life. He felt that he could do it openly and in public. He felt that he was not wrong. This was not correct this route. he would make the same mistake from generation to generation. His disliking to search for and face his own faults is his Achilles heel. An Achilles heel means that there is no hope to be saved. It means that one will be dead meat, and never rise again in countless lifetimes. These character flaws must be cured. Well, look at the Lord Buddha, who used to be a great doctor, who killed Devadatta many lives ago. The Lord Buddha said that he suffered from bone and joint pain. He said that he had suffered being boiled and burned in hell, and becoming an animal and hungry ghost for thousands of years. He had continuous pain in his bones and joints. This time he killed Devadatta as a kshatriya and fell into hell. Please note that the retributions of his previous life were not that serious. He stayed in hell for a certain period, but also had the opportunity to be an animal or hungry ghost. These retributions were not so miserable. But the things he committed in the following life were much worse, so he had to spend thousands of years in hell. After comparison, you will find that he did not follow the mind training procedure in his previous life and this life. He became worse because he did not change his behavioral formula and programming. As a result, the nature of retribution also changed. He was burned and boiled for thousands of years. After that, he still had to suffer from back pain. What did the Lord Buddha Shakyamuni say he himself had committed? He criticized himself for being greedy and hateful back then. If you do not use the mind training procedure to correct the mistakes in the behavioral formula and programming as well as the mental consciousness, and if you do not have the ability to know where you are wrong, it means that you have no wisdom, that is, you are ignorant. That is why you have no ability to know where you are wrong. Only those who are capable and wise enough can know where they are wrong. If you do not have this ability, you are being ignorant. It means you have a root that is very bad, and you will end up in tragedies repeatedly in many lifetimes. This will cause your downfall into lower rebirths, becoming a vicious circle, only to go from bad to worse. So, you will be reborn in lower realms, and the situation will get worse and worse. Shouldn't you rectify it quickly? So, one of the biggest goals of Dharma practice is to reverse this trend to upper rebirths in the three upper realms, the realms of heaven, human, and Asura instead. Therefore, the key point of a Dharma practitioner's practice is mind training. Otherwise, the three poisons of greed, hatred, and ignorance will make you fail in your Dharma practice. No matter what great method you practice, it will not improve the trend of your rebirth. Knowing where you are wrong is the key to changing your destiny. That is why I often told my disciples, do not tell me how great you are, how much you earn from promotions, how good you perform in your studies, and where you rank in your exams. In the eyes of the Guru, nothing is great about these. True greatness lies in knowing where your mistakes are, having the ability to improve your intrinsic awareness and correct your mistakes, and being able to find your own roots and rectify them. That is great indeed. Even the Buddha would praise you and say you are great. All right. Let us look at the mind training procedure again. First, accept the reality. Second, questioning. Ask questions to yourself, relevant people, and those with wisdom. Why did this happen to me? Why did I get so emotional at the time? I was so furious and wanted revenge so much. Third, analysis. Inspect your own feelings, thoughts, and views. Analyze why you are so angry. Fourth, root searching. Search for your roots to see whether you have violated a precept, or have not done well in mind training, which caused you to behave badly. And what is the worst part? Find the root cause. Having found the root cause, what is the most important step then? Fifth, remedy. It is best to use the remedial method in accordance with the Diamond Sutra to cure the root. Whenever you have the ability to bully others, do not feel that this person owes you. Do not tell the Guru that you have the ability to bully him, because he is awful and often lies to you. So, you will kick him a few times, because you have the ability, and perhaps he owed you in his previous life. You cannot say so. Even if he really owed you in his previous life, if you handle things in the wrong way, that is, use violence and kick him a few times, you will plant a new evil cause for yourself. You will definitely be the one who suffers the most, then. Therefore, you must clearly remember that harming others is the same as harming yourself. And there will be tens of million times of evil retributions, which will be very miserable indeed. Therefore, all behaviors must be verified through the mind training procedure before certain behaviors can be performed. It is not to use your emotions, greed, hatred, ignorance, acting on impulse, revenge, attachment to the four notions, and doing whatever you want, and so on to exercise your behaviors. Otherwise, you will be like the previous lives of Lord Buddha Shakyamuni, being bogged down deeper and deeper. Alright. Let us see how to remedy it. First of all, we must know where the crux of our violation of precepts, or worst performance in mind training is. First, I do not like being deceived and oppressed by others. You have to remember then every time you are deceived or oppressed by others, you must feel that this is a debt you owed them in your previous lives. It is, indeed. Do you know why this Brahmin wrestler wanted to deceive this Kshatriya wrestler? Because in a previous life, the Kshatriya took his life. The Kshatriya killed him when treating him as a great doctor. That is why he continued to deceive him now. In the meantime, this was his character. And he felt that the Kshatriya owed him his life, so he continued to deceive him. But in fact, the Kshatriya already owed him a life debt for causing his death due to medical malpractice. The Kshatriya should feel fortunate that he could repay the debt by merely being deceived a few times. So, we must carry out our mind training procedure. The first step, accept the reality. Why not accept it? If you do not accept it, you will be as miserable as you are now. You should also have this mentality: being able to repay the debt today is a kind of virtuous reward. I can actually be a wrestler and repay him by simply putting on a show. It is because I killed him in the previous life. I would agree to his request to deceive all people. I would agree to these deceiving behaviors to repay the debt. It means that I will have the ability to be liberated from samsara in the future. Being able to repay it means having the ability to be liberated from samsara. Therefore, I should have a heart of gratitude and a heart of equality, knowing that paying off debts is a kind of mutual interaction on an equal footing. The debts must be repaid. This is based on the law of causes and effects. If you can have this kind of intrinsic awareness that I teach you now, you will think about it every time you want to do something to hurt others for revenge. If you figure it out, you will achieve having no attachments to and entanglements from the notions of a self, others, sentient beings, longevity, and other notions, as stated in the Diamond Sutra. You will definitely be able to overcome this point, then. I have already forgiven him and accepted his requests many times. But this man still wanted to commit fraud and lie to me again. You will be able to accept it. Why? It is worthwhile to repay a life debt by being deceived by others. You will feel, fine, just let him deceive me one more time. It's not a big deal. It's only some money. It's okay even if he deceives me 10 million more times. But this is only the fourth time he lied to me. Even if he deceived me 10 million times, it will still not be able to repay the debt of one's life. So, your heart must not have resentment, but only gratitude and equality. I'm truly grateful. Despite I killed him in my previous life, but I can repay the debt just by being deceived by him. I really feel grateful and equal. I will never kill you. You should have no resentment. You must have a mentality of tolerance to achieve equality in the present moment. Well, you feel that people who repeatedly deceive and humiliate you cannot be forgiven, and the entire Kshatriya caste has been humiliated. All these are still worth it if the life debt can be paid off. You can do some good things in the future, so that the Kshatriya class can recover its glorious honor in the future. You can make up for these things. You do not need to kill or murder someone brutally, which in turn makes yourself so miserable. Remember, suppose you do not forgive others. Some people are very ignorant, so ignorant to the extent that they will never forgive someone who provokes them. Then you will be the same as torturing yourself. Just like the Kshatriya wrestler, who was tortured in hell for thousands of years. So, if you do not forgive others, you are torturing yourself. Remember, if you cannot sleep, grinding your teeth all night because of the anger, are you not torturing yourself? So, remember to use your intrinsic awareness to deal with it. Secondly, he liked to use his ability to take revenge. Then you must have the second kind of intrinsic awareness. Remember that you have to let it go. Stop thinking about using your ability, or even asking all your relatives and friends to use their abilities to help with the revenge. You ought to let go. Do not abide in the four notions. Do not tell yourself that you want revenge. Do not ask other people to retaliate together. And do not show the notion of sentient beings, praying to ghosts or spirits and asking them to help you with the revenge. Do not involve the notion of longevity, finding someone who is superior and powerful to help you with the revenge. These are called abiding in the four notions. Let it go and do not abide in the four notions. Do not ask other people to take revenge together. Do not get entangled any further. Stop thinking about revenge. Do not even think about revenge. Let it go once you have paid off your debt. It is really worthwhile to for your future destiny. At least you do not need to worry so much now, thinking about how you can succeed in taking revenge. If you do not take revenge and let it go, your heart will be much more tolerant. It will be the greatest improvement for your future destiny. Showing mercy to your enemies, or those you hate, is the greatest grace to yourself. But you insist on breaking his spine and throwing him to the ground to his death. You have not shown mercy to your enemies, which is the same as you not showing mercy to yourself. You will be miserable in the future. You will be thrown to the ground by others for thousands of years, and your spine will be broken by others for thousands of years. So why bother doing that? So, showing mercy to your enemies is the greatest grace to yourself. Otherwise, all the repayments and things you have done in the past will be weakened, or even disappear, making things even worse. This is how the law of causes and effects works. The way of making a clean break must be to repay the debts you owe others, confess and repent to lessen the debt so that the grave karma can be retributed lightly, and communicate with them to see whether the debt can be. You can achieve not abiding in the notions of a self, others, sentient beings, and longevity. Do not think that you must take revenge, because you are capable of doing so. When taking revenge, you even harbor a cunning mentality, thinking that you will not get caught. This is not good. What is the best way? I teach my disciples to do the prayer for karmic creditors. There are many visualizations in it, praying for the grave karma to be retributed lightly. You should use this visualization method I teach now. But because it involves some visualization that cannot be disclosed, I can only teach it to my disciples. Remember, any ground for revenge and counterattack is abiding in notions. You are attached to it, so you want revenge. Revenge itself is a kind of obsessive, harmful entanglement. So, if you manage to have this kind of intrinsic awareness, if you can develop this kind of intrinsic awareness and apply it, you will not feel like you have to make a clean break and want this person to disappear. And you will not use all your abilities to make this person disappear. You can remedy it. These are called the remedies arising from intrinsic awareness. Remember what I am saying now. Let it go. Do not abide in the four notions. Do not continue getting entangled. Do not think about revenge. This is the greatest improvement to your future destiny. Please keep this in mind. I know my disciples will not remember it, so I need to say it twice more. Showing mercy to your enemies, or those you hate, is the greatest grace to yourself. The way of making a clean break must be through debt his own behaviors and thoughts for various reasons. For example, some people will scold their parents whenever they get angry, for they do not believe their parents will stop supporting them, ignore them, drive them away, or stop loving them. They know that their parents will always indulge them. So, they will lose their temper with their parents even more frequently, thinking that their parents can do nothing to them. It is very bad for children to condone their own behavior and thoughts. If you have read the Lord Buddha Shakyamuni's sutras, you will know that you will be hammered many times on your head for scolding your parents, and die miserably. So So, stop treating your parents badly. Remember to arouse your intrinsic awareness. Within the three realms, any solution to difficulties cannot be excessive extremes, unbalanced, benefiting oneself at the expense of others, or harming others without benefiting oneself. The law of causes and effects operates according to the state of entanglement of sentient beings' minds. The deeper you get entangled, the faster and more rapid the law of causes and effects will operate. So, remember that unbalanced entanglement will result in unbalanced extreme retributions, while balanced entanglement will lead to balanced retributions. So, the damage to both parties can be minimized. If you can strike a balance, you can pull it off. So, the solution to dealing with problems must be found in a state of balance. What is the most balanced state in Dharma practice? That is, not to abide anywhere to develop one's mind. It has been taught before. Not to abide anywhere means that I will not have any attachments, or greed, hatred, and ignorance, so as to arouse my intrinsic awareness. What kind of intrinsic awareness? These 4 kinds of intrinsic awareness that I am teaching you right now. If you possess all these several kinds of intrinsic awareness, you can succeed in training your mind. If you can do it, you can achieve not abiding in the notions of a self, others, sentient beings, and longevity. You will give up the idea that deception is a kind of sin, and you will feel, if his deceiving me can make me pay off all the debts, then I'll just forget it and let it be. Then you can resolve this issue. Deception is a kind of evil karma, but it cannot be the reason for murder. The consequences of deception and murder are not the same. Therefore, if you use murder as a means to retaliate for deception, it is an unbalanced and unequal solution, and it will form a kind of extreme revenge. That is why Devadatta later became so extreme in harming Lord Buddha Shakyamuni and the Buddhist community. It was due to being unbalanced. One should respond with actions and behaviors using the mental consciousness and intrinsic awareness of forgiveness and gratitude for having the ability to pay off debts. I can tell you that any abiding in notions is equal to losing balance, even if it only lasts for 1 to 2 seconds. As soon as you arouse your intrinsic awareness to balance it, you will be fine after lifting the abiding in notions. So, keep this in mind. Alright. If you can do it, you can tackle the idea of punishing those who commit the crime of deception, and taking it for granted to punish others. So, people who have favorable environments and factors that enable them to possess the capabilities or powers to beat, kill, or perform any violent acts, should remember that this cannot be used as a reason to use them arbitrarily. When you have great power, or have any weapons in your hands, you must remember that you cannot give excuses for any act of connivance. You must not condone yourself to use these powers. Otherwise, it will definitely become the most important reason for falling into hell. So, do not rationalize wrong behaviors. These are called the remedies that come from intrinsic awareness. Fourthly, his character was that he did not like to look for his own faults. He did not like to know where he was wrong. You have to understand that having intrinsic awareness means one knows where one is wrong. Having the ability to know one's faults means one has intrinsic awareness. Having intrinsic awareness and knowing one's own faults means that there is hope to be saved, which means that there is an opportunity to be liberated from the cycle of karmic existence. Therefore, we must always give rise to a heart of joy that we want to find the root, as soon as we see our faults. Once you come up with a mind that can remedy this fault, or wrong behavior, it means you can give rise to a kind of enlightenment. You need to have such a feeling, I've been enlightened. I even know how to deal with it. So, remember, fear not of the rise of thoughts. Do not be afraid of the arising of your evil thoughts. Fear only the delay of awareness. Only be afraid of your intrinsic awareness arising late, and that you do not know how to deal with it. If we have the mind of equality, under the law of causes and effects, blaming others is the same as blaming ourselves. Therefore, you no longer care what other people are doing wrong. You feel that blaming others is the same as blaming yourself. You might as well let it go. You will not be too concerned about others' mistakes and keep focusing on that, insisting on taking revenge. Instead, you will focus on whether you are wrong or not, and whether you can improve your behavior and let yourself handle it better. You are observing yourself where you are wrong. It means that you can be saved. It is good news. If you can do it, you can achieve not abiding in the notions of a self, others, sentient beings, and longevity. You can then overcome the behavior of thinking that you yourself have done nothing wrong. This is the remedy with intrinsic awareness. Well, I would like to mention it again. The notions of a self, others, sentient beings, and longevity have been explained. There is also the mention of neither abide in the notion of Dharma, by Lord Buddha Shakyamuni in the Diamond Sutra, telling you not to be attached to all kinds of dharmas, methods, or phenomena, because they are all in the dualistic or multiplistic states, which will prevent you from entering the Dharma realm in the state of oneness. They are called the conditioned phenomena, that is, anything dualistic or multiplistic. We should not abide in the notions of Dharma, and need to get rid of anything that is dualistic or multiplistic. What is nor abide in the notion of non-Dharma? It includes some teachings that can help you get into the state of oneness, such as emptiness, neither existence nor voidness. Do not be attached to any of these. These methods are known as the unconditioned phenomena. If you do not even get attached to the unconditioned phenomena, it is the real state of oneness. Only then can you truly realize and enter emptiness. How do we apply it to this case? Neither abide in the notion of Dharma means that you will not be attached to the so-called truths, such as deceiving people is a crime, and it is absolutely right to punish anyone who commits this crime. You do not think that all these are absolute truths. This is called neither abide in the notion of Dharma. It means that you can accomplish one of the oral pith instructions of Diamond Sutra, should not abide anywhere, and do not abide in notions. That is, you are not tethered by any notion. It means that you can let go of the thought that it is natural and right to punish those who commit these crimes. If you can do it, it means you have achieved neither abide in the notion of Dharma. You are no longer attached to it. What does it mean by nor abide in the notion of non-Dharma? It means that you will not be like, I'm so awesome, because I'm not even attached to the thought that it is entirely natural and right to punish those who commit the crime of deception. I won't even cling to this kind of idea, which means I must be truly amazing. You will not be attached to the thought that you are amazing. Nor will you give yourself credit for it. Because praising yourself is also a kind of attachment. You are not attached to the fact that you are able to do this, which means you are able to let go of the notion of non-Dharma. You are not attached to the idea that you are amazing. If you can accomplish these without attachments, then it means you have achieved nor abide in the notion of non-Dharma in this case. Alright. There are 2 oral pith instructions in the Diamond Sutra that you should keep in mind when trying to deal with any difficulties and things. The first oral pith instruction is should not abide anywhere, and do not abide in notions. I am capable of resolving this matter, no matter how challenging it is. But I can achieve, should not abide anywhere, and do not abide in notions throughout the whole process. There is nothing that will make me cling to it, nor is there any greed, hatred, and ignorance involved in these steps. The second is not to abide anywhere to develop one's mind. I can even come up with some kinds of intrinsic awareness without being attached to anything. What kinds of intrinsic awareness? The several kinds that have been taught just now. Let us have a look now. The Lord Buddha said, it is miserable to suffer in hell. You must remember to protect the body's 3s, speech's 4s, and mind's 3s. That is, the 10 wholesome deeds. The 10 wholesome deeds are a foundation, and they are not thorough. The only solution, the most thorough one, is to apply the oral pith instructions of the Diamond Sutra, should not abide anywhere, and do not abide in notions. That is, not to abide in the notions of a self, others, sentient beings, and longevity. There are 2 more, neither abide in the notion of Dharma, nor abide in the notion of non-Dharma. If you abide in notions and are very attached to them, there will be karmic retributions, which will even extend to the period after you have attained Buddhahood, and you will still have to receive the retributions. So, never abide in notions. It can only be avoided once you enter the Dharma realm in the state of oneness. So, remember not to abide in notions. Well, how can we accomplish the second oral pith instruction, not to abide anywhere to develop one's mind? Suppose you can use the intrinsic awareness I taught you before to resolve all your current wrong thoughts and behavioral formulas and programming in a step-by-step approach like what I have taught you just now. And you do not have any attachment, greed, hatred, or ignorance throughout the process. You are wide awake with the crystal clarity of your mind, applying the intrinsic awareness I teach you now to deal with it. In that case, your intrinsic awareness can be aroused. It is then called not to abide anywhere without having any attachments. To develop one's mind to come up with the intrinsic awareness to deal with difficult problems. This is called not to abide anywhere to develop one's mind. The Lord Buddha said to Sariputra that he had fallen to hell for thousands of years because of greed and hatred back then. So, we must not underestimate our inner anger, greed, and heart of revenge. I enjoy being vengeful and hateful. Do not underestimate such a thought. Do not have it. Revenge means never-ending entanglement, and it also means one has to continue reincarnations. Therefore, revenge is the same as abiding in notions. If you want to take revenge, it means you are already attached to it, and you have already abided in notions. You will be in trouble in the future. Abiding in notions means continuing to entangle and continuing to reincarnate. How can you not be in trouble? So, you must remember the mind training procedure: acceptance, questioning, analysis, root searching, and remedy. When you have a preliminary outline or conclusion, you have to use the correct Dharma practice method to resolve them one by one. As I have taught you, the goal is to be free of any attachment, that is, should not abide anywhere and do not abide in notions without giving rise to any greed, hatred, ignorance, jealousy, arrogance, and doubt. Only this is called, should not abide anywhere and do not abide in notions. If you do not train your mind and do not overcome it, the consequences will be serious. You must remember that we want to achieve not to abide anywhere to develop one's mind. We need to use our intrinsic awareness to develop and practice correct Dharma methods, as well as the methods of solving difficulties. This can help us find the root and remedy it. Remember not to feel disheartened. Even after falling into hell, if you know how to repent, you still have the chance to attain Buddhahood. Despite what I said, my disciple still did not repent of the abortion. It is really not good that she did not even repent via email. How can we apply our mind training in consistency with the teachings of the Diamond Sutra to solve all our difficulties and be liberated from samsara? What kind of intrinsic awareness do we need to possess? Let us make a summary. Firstly, every time we are deceived or oppressed by others, we must feel that this is a debt we owe others in our past lives. Being able to repay the debt today is a kind of virtuous reward. It means that we will be more capable of being liberated from samsara in the future. Hence, we should have a heart of gratitude and a heart of equality. We know that paying off debts is a kind of mutual interaction, on an equal footing based on the law of causes and effects. There is no resentment, but only gratitude and repayment, equality and causes and effects. Secondly, let it go. Do not abide in the four notions. Do not continue to be entangled further. Do not think about revenge. These will be the greatest improvement to one's future destiny. Showing mercy to your enemies, or those you hate, is the greatest grace to yourself. It is best not to revenge. If you do, there will always be some opposition at work. Please be merciful when you are at work, and do not pick on your opponents. Otherwise, all the repayments and efforts you have made in the past will be weakened, or even disappear, making things much worse. This is how the law of causes and effects works. The way of making a clean break must be through debt repayment, confession and repentance, and communication. If you can do it, it means that you have succeeded in applying the first oral pith instruction of the Diamond Sutra, should not abide anywhere, and do not abide in notions. That is, if you can achieve not abiding in the notions of a self, others, sentient beings, and longevity, and you can do it all, you can be liberated from samsara. If you can do two more, neither abide in the notion of Dharma nor abide in the notion of non-Dharma, you can attain Buddhahood. Thirdly, within the three realms, any method of solving difficulties cannot be excessive extremes, unbalanced, benefiting oneself at the expense of others, or harming others without benefiting oneself. The law of causes and effects operates based on the state of entanglement of sentient beings' minds. Unbalanced entanglement will lead to unbalanced extreme retributions. Balanced entanglement will lead to balanced retributions, thus minimizing the damage to both parties. Therefore, the solution to difficulties must be sought in a state of balance. The most balanced state in Dharma practice is not to abide anywhere to develop one's mind. Any abiding in notions means losing balance. The second oral pith instruction of the Diamond Sutra is not to be attached to owning these kinds of intrinsic awareness, that is, not to abide anywhere to develop one's mind. So, there is a balance. These are called balance. Fourthly, one must understand that having intrinsic awareness means having the ability to know one's own faults, meaning that there is hope for salvation, which is equal to having an opportunity to be liberated from samsara. Therefore, one must often have a heart of joy to seek roots whenever one sees one's own faults. As soon as one comes up with a mind that can remedy this fault, one must have a feeling of enlightenment. Fear not of the rise of thoughts, fear only the delay of awareness. It is good as long as one can be enlightened. Also, because of the heart of equality, blaming others is the same as blaming oneself under the law of causes and effects. Therefore, you do not care about other people's mistakes anymore, but only observe your own faults. Because it means that you must save yourself first. Therefore, the first oral pith instruction of the Diamond Sutra is, should not abide anywhere, and do not abide in notions. If you can have this fourth kind of intrinsic awareness, you can accomplish the first oral pith instruction. You can also accomplish the second oral pith instruction, not to abide anywhere to develop one's mind. Please remember to click subscribe on our YouTube channel. We have already reached 310,000 subscribers.